Everyone around you is worried. They think something is wrong because you have pulled away from the noise, from the parties, from the endless small talk about nothing. But what if your isolation is not a breakdown, but a breakthrough in disguise? Here is the uncomfortable truth that most people will never accept. The most powerful transformations in human history happened in complete solitude. Solitude builds what crowds destroy. And right now, something is being built inside you that the world is not ready to see. Today, we are going to expose why your loneliness is not a punishment. It is a preparation. And by the end of this video, you will never see your isolation the same way again. The lonely signal. There is a moment in every person's life when the world starts to feel wrong. The conversations that once excited you now feel shallow. The people you used to spend hours with suddenly drain your energy. And you start asking yourself, what is happening to me? As the great poet Goethe once reflected, the soul that sees beauty may sometimes walk alone. Here is what nobody tells you. That feeling of disconnection is not depression, it is evolution. Your mind is outgrowing its environment. Think about it. When a computer is updating its operating system, it shuts down. It becomes temporarily unavailable. Your isolation is your system update. The people around you cannot understand this because they are still running the old software. They see your withdrawal as a problem, but your subconscious mind knows something they do not. You are not losing yourself. You are finding who you were always meant to become. And that process requires silence. It requires space. It requires exactly what you are going through right now. But here is the part that most people miss, and it changes everything. Crowd poison. Have you ever noticed that the moment you share a big dream with a group of people, something inside you shrinks? That is not a coincidence. Crowds kill dreams silently. A study from Solomon Asch in the 1950s proved something disturbing. When placed in a group, 75% of people will give an answer they know is wrong just to conform. 75%. Conformity. Now apply that to your financial life. You are surrounded by people who believe money is hard to make, people who think wealth is for the lucky few, people who spend their entire paycheck on things that lose value. And without realizing it, your brain absorbs their beliefs like a sponge. As Jim Rohn famously warned, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Your isolation removed you from that toxic averaging. If this is making you see your circle differently, hit like and subscribe because we are just scratching the surface. The crowd does not just influence your opinions, it programs your income ceiling. It sets your ambition thermostat. And the only way to reset that thermostat is to step away from the noise. But what happens to your brain when you actually do that? The answer will shock you. Mental rewiring. When you remove yourself from constant social stimulation, something extraordinary happens inside your skull. Neuroscientists at the University of Oregon discovered that periods of solitude activate the default mode network, the part of your brain responsible for creativity, self-reflection, and future planning. Your brain literally becomes smarter when you are alone. In crowds, your prefrontal cortex is busy managing social dynamics, reading facial expressions, calculating what to say next. It is exhausted by performance. But in isolation, that same energy redirects toward innovation, toward vision, toward building. Silence rewires the brain. This is not theory, this is neuroscience. Isaac Newton developed calculus during plague isolation. Einstein formulated relativity while working alone in a patent office. In the words of Einstein himself, the monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind. Your brain is doing the same thing right now. Every moment you spend in silence, new neural pathways are forming. Old patterns of scarcity and fear are being overwritten. Your poverty programming is being deleted line by line. The question is not whether isolation is changing you. It already is. The question is whether you will trust the process long enough to see the results. And that brings us to the invisible force building inside you right now. Silent power. There is a reason why every martial art begins with stillness. Every meditation starts with silence. Every great strategy is born behind closed doors. Power does not announce itself. It accumulates. Think about a dam. For months, maybe years, water builds behind concrete walls. Nothing visible happens on the surface. No one can see the pressure mounting. But when those gates finally open, the force is unstoppable. That is exactly what is happening inside you right now. Every book you read in solitude is adding pressure. Every moment of self-reflection is building force. Every night you chose growth over distraction is filling that reservoir. Silent work creates loud results. The people who laughed at your withdrawal will be the same ones asking how you did it. As the ancient Stoic philosopher Seneca once warned, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. While they waste their energy performing for an audience, you are investing yours in transformation. The gap between you and them is growing every single day, and most of them will never understand why. But there is a darker side to this that nobody talks about. Wealth in silence. Here is a pattern you will find in almost every self-made billionaire biography. Before the breakthrough, there was a period of intense isolation. Solitude. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading alone. Bill Gates takes annual Think Weeks where he disappears from everyone. Sarah Blakely drove alone in a car for hours practicing sales pitches before she built Spanx into a billion-dollar company. 1. Buffett reads alone 5 hours daily. 2. Gates takes solo Think Weeks yearly. 3. Blakely practiced sales alone in a car. 4. Tesla did his best work in isolation. These are not coincidences. These are strategies. The wealthy understand something that the average person does not. Your net worth is directly connected to how comfortable you are being alone. Because in solitude, you hear the ideas that crowds drown out. You spot the opportunities that distracted minds miss. As the legendary investor Charlie Munger once said, the big money is not in the buying or the selling, but in the waiting. And waiting requires one thing above all else: patience in isolation. But what about the beliefs that make isolation feel like punishment instead of preparation? That is where it gets interesting. Breaking chains. Since childhood, you were programmed with a dangerous equation. Alone equals bad, together equals good. Alone equals bad programmed. Think about it. In school, the kid who played alone was considered weird. The one who sat by themselves at lunch was labeled a problem. Society trained you to fear solitude like it was a disease. But what if that programming was designed to keep you controllable? A person who fears being alone will accept anything just to belong. They will stay in jobs that destroy their soul. They will maintain friendships that drain their ambition. They will follow financial advice from people who are broke, all because being in a group feels safer than standing alone. The philosopher Nietzsche understood this perfectly when he wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Breaking this chain is the first step toward financial and personal freedom. The moment you stop needing approval is the moment you become unstoppable. Your isolation is proof that something inside you is rejecting the program. Your discomfort with the crowd is not weakness. It is your higher self refusing to settle. And what replaces that old programming might be the most important concept in this entire video. The cocoon phase. Nature does not make apologies for transformation. When a caterpillar enters its cocoon, something violent happens inside. The caterpillar does not simply grow wings, it dissolves. Its entire body breaks down into a biological soup. It literally destroys itself to become something new. If you could look inside that cocoon, you would see nothing recognizable. Just chaos, just destruction, just the end of everything that was. Sound familiar? Rebirth. That is exactly what your isolation feels like. The old version of you is dissolving. Your old beliefs about money, success, and what you deserve are breaking apart. And it feels terrifying because transformation always does. You are not falling apart, you are falling into place. But here is the part nobody mentions. If someone opens a cocoon too early, the butterfly dies. It needs that struggle. It needs that pressure. It needs every second of that dark, uncomfortable transformation. As the philosopher Alan Watts once taught, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Your friends trying to pull you out of isolation are opening your cocoon too early. They mean well, but they could kill what you are becoming. And what you are becoming has a very specific frequency. Your frequency. Everything in the universe vibrates at a specific frequency. Sound, light, matter, and yes, your thoughts. Your thoughts have a frequency. When you are constantly surrounded by other people, your frequency adjusts to match theirs. It is called entrainment, a real physics phenomenon where vibrations naturally synchronize. Put two pendulum clocks on the same wall, and eventually they will swing in perfect unison. Your brain does the same thing with the people around you. Their fears become your fears. Their limitations become your ceiling. Their frequency becomes your prison. You have been vibrating at someone else's frequency your entire life. Isolation strips that away. For the first time, you are hearing your own signal without interference, without static, without the noise of other people's expectations drowning out your truth. Carl Jung understood this deeply when he said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That signal you are tuning into is your authentic self. The version of you that existed before society told you who to be, before the economy told you what you were worth, before your parents' financial fears became your own. In silence, you discover the frequency of your highest potential. And once you lock onto that frequency, you need something to channel it into. That is where the blueprint comes in. The blueprint. Every skyscraper starts as a blueprint drawn in a quiet room. Every empire starts as an idea in someone's mind long before it becomes real. What you build in silence, the world will see in time. Your isolation is giving you something that busy, distracted, socially overwhelmed people never get. Clarity. The clarity to see what you actually want, not what your parents wanted for you, not what society says you should chase, not what your friends settled for, what you truly want. And with clarity comes the ability to plan, to strategize, to build without the pressure of performance. Think about what happens when you try to write something important in a crowded, noisy room. The words do not come, the ideas scatter, but in silence, the blueprint reveals itself. Clarity plus silence equals vision. The wealthiest people in history did not build their empires in public. They built them in private first. As the great strategist Sun Tzu taught thousands of years ago, every battle is won before it is ever fought. Your isolation is your war room, your planning phase, your preparation. And preparation without action is meaningless, which brings us to the most important phase of all, the emergence. There will come a day when you step out of your isolation, and nothing will be the same. Transformed, not because the world changed, but because you did. The people who wrote you off will not recognize the person standing before them. Your eyes will be different. Your energy will be different. Your entire relationship with money, success, and self-worth will be unrecognizable. You went into isolation as one person, and you will emerge as someone entirely new. But here is the final truth that separates those who emerge victorious from those who stay stuck in the cocoon forever. You have to choose to come out. Emerge when ready, not comfortable. Isolation is preparation, not a permanent address. The power you built in silence means nothing if you never deploy it. The blueprint means nothing if you never build. The frequency means nothing if you never broadcast it. As John Shedd wrote so perfectly, a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. The comfort of isolation can become its own prison if you let it. You were not called to hide forever. You were called to prepare. And when the preparation is complete, a door will open, an opportunity will appear, a moment will arrive, and you will be ready, not because you were lucky, but because you were alone long enough to become dangerous. Everything we discussed today points to one undeniable truth. Your isolation was never a punishment. It was an investment in the most valuable asset you will ever own, yourself. Isolation is investment, not punishment. The signal, the rewiring, the silent power, the cocoon, the frequency, the blueprint, and the emergence. These are not random stages. They are the exact process that every great transformation follows, and you are right in the middle of it. As Emerson once wrote, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." If you made it this far, comment emerging if you feel something shifting inside you right now. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this video exposed something deep inside you, subscribe. Your transformation has only just begun.